Thank you for tuning in to the My Positive Perspective Internet Show today, where we feature individuals and companies who make a positive impact on the local community. Today's episode is brought to you by I&We Coaching. For more information on the I&We Coaching website, please click the link below, iandwecoaching.com. Today's guest, strangely enough, is the founder of I&We Coaching, Mr. Glenn Cohen. So how you doing, Glenn?
How are you? Good to see you again.
Good, doing good. And your coaching, you know, one of the things you take pride in is mentoring individuals who are kind of in a rut and not really having a lot of success with their life. So what kind of paths do you use to change their perception of things?
Well, let me say that when I deal with individuals, I call it gap coaching.
Okay.
And it's really a gap between where people are at, where there's some confusion, they're in transition, they're coming out of a relationship, they're in one, they don't know what to do, or in between jobs, or there's been a major life event, but there's a gap between clarity and confusion. And I help them really understand what it is going on within them and how they can show up for themselves to gain that clarity, to deal with whatever internal issues, help them separate the internal from the external, and really create an individualized strategy for, you know, whether it is a negative belief that they have, or really it's helping them change their story, so it's empowered, so that they can take more control of themselves, so it gets them through that gap quicker. What
are there individuals who are facing like challenges as far as maybe illnesses or maybe family loss moments? What kind of paths do you take when the people experiencing that kind of hurt?
Well, when that space is really dominated by pain, what I really like to do is a multi-step process. Number one is, I call it draining the well, where people have to feel that pain and accept it and find a way to work through it. It's almost like a bathtub, right? So that bathtub, the water, is the pain that they're feeling. And if we can slowly drain it, but the trick is, sometimes people want to validate the pain and stay there a little longer than they need to. So it's almost like they reach up and they turn the faucet back on to fill the tub back up. So my job as coach is help them see that they're doing that, and then to coach them not to. To just allow it to drain. And it's almost scary sometimes, because if somebody's been living in that type of a pain for a while, that confusion becomes their place of safety. So it's leading them back out of that, and then once we drain that, then it's creating the new story, the new belief, to gain the passion to move forward, the motivation to do something different.
So it almost seems like, to me, what you're telling me is this pain and this depth of depression that people get themselves into is almost habit forming, and you try to move them beyond that event, but I mean, once they get away from your coaching, they could easily find themselves back into that slot, because they were so used to it beforehand and before receiving your coaching.
Yeah, but usually, people who are either in pain or finding themselves in a really dark period or blue period or depression period, my belief is that the majority of the emotions that come from there are derived from the thoughts, the habitual thoughts, and the story we keep telling ourselves. It's almost like if you go see a Quentin Tarantino movie, you get a certain feeling, versus if you go see a Steven Spielberg movie. So it depends on the story we're telling ourselves, the language we use, and how we view the world, how we view ourselves, and how we talk to ourselves has a huge impact on how we feel. So when I can get people to understand that, and it's all about patterns and breaking patterns and habits, And that's really what I do, is help people break those patterns.
Yeah, and they are hard to break. Yeah,
they are. You got to identify them. Then you have to interrupt them.
Yeah,
and then you have to break them, and then you have to replace them, and then the final step is conditioning. So you have to do it over and over and over again to condition a new pattern.
Okay, well, that really does make sense to me, and I know that people getting in there in these bad situations, they coming out of them, it's difficult and it's a scary thing for them. But it sounds like you do a magnificent job of helping them, guide them out of that depressed feeling. So that's
and it's what's interesting, and I call it the flow cycle. And there's two parts of the flow cycle: the I and the we. So for the purpose of individuals, getting people to understand that the last step of that cycle is that we show up in a way, unconsciously, we want to validate the story we're telling ourselves. So if we're telling ourselves a story that's filled with depression and pain and separateness and disconnection, we're going to show up in a way so that other people respond back to us, so that we figuratively go home, we stand in front of a mirror and we go, I told you so. You're not good enough, or you're not lovable, or you're not accepted. So it's a vicious cycle that people get caught up in.
Yeah.
And it's one that can be broken. And that's what I do with individuals. And that segment of individuals I deal with is helping them break that negative, disempowered cycle.
Great. If there is a person who's viewing this episode and would like to get a hold of you, how would they go about doing that?
The best way to get a hold of me is through my website at www.iandwecoaching.com, or send me an email at gcohen@iandwecoaching.com, or call my office at 843-852-9828.
Well, great. And there'll be links for that to Glenn's website, who was gracious enough to sponsor this episode of My Positive Perspective. So thank you, Glenn, for joining me.
Thank you.
And thank you for tuning in to the My Positive Perspective radio show. Please hit subscribe on your YouTube buttons after the video, and have a great day.
On a sunny day, I feel my thoughts drift away. Only good vibes and good times living in my brain. On a sunny day, catch me lamping in the shade, feeling so fine and so high. Oh, my sunny day, still I hope all my efforts will one day pan out. Love within, you'll never be without. So I roll, feeling strong and so invincible.